Hi, I'm Deborah, and I wanted to show you some knitting today with knitting needles. I like to do a lot of different things. I play the clarinet, I knit, I crochet. You can see some of my other videos on my YouTube channel playing the clarinet. Sometimes I crochet some coat hangers. And anyway, today is how to knit. So I know a lot of people like to knit. I've been knitting for about 50 years. Ever since I was like in fifth grade, there was an after school class, and I learned to knit then. I used to knit under the desk when the teacher wasn't looking, and I could still hear everything that's going on, so I could answer all the questions just fine while I was still knitting. But anyway, I still knit, and I'm in some groups sometimes that we all get together and we just sit and knit and crochet or whatever we're going to talk. Anyway, so this I'm going to try. I hope you can see this. These are two knitting needles. I know they're different colors. See, I usually use some other circular needles. Let me show you. Sorry. Circular needles like this. But a lot of people don't understand when I do it. They get confused. It's just like the other needles, but it just takes up less space. Like here, you're knitting and they poke out, and you can drop one needle and the others they're hooked on. But anyway, it's the same thing whether you use circular or straight. In the old days, we always had the straight needles. And then they started making circular, and they make bamboo. I don't know, all kinds of stuff now. I've seen light up needles. But anyway, you have your string, and I make a loop, and then I lay it across the back. So you can see here. See, it's here. See, it's laid across there. Oops, sorry. So you can see, it's just laid across the back. So what I'm going to do is take my needle. Oops, let me see. Okay, so with my needle in the front here, and I'm going to go just actually down and up over that little loop, that little piece that was laying across, and I pull the end, hold the end of that tail right there, and just pull both the tail, both ends. So you have one stitch on your needle. I'm going to cast on. This is an easy cast on. There are lots of cast on ways, 3 or 4 different ways, but this is the easiest when you're starting out. So I put it around my thumb. This is my left thumb. So I'm going to go actually around, I don't know, let me see, around this way. And you can see it here. It crisscrosses on top. I'm going to go to the other one underneath. There you go. And just pull. There, I got a stitch on. That's 2 stitches. 1, 2. I'm going to go around. This is, I know, tricky. If you go around this way, I'm going around, see, toward the heel of my thumb, this way, and it crosses across the top and the front. So I'm going to go to the one back here. There you go, and just pull. And if you do it wrong when you pull, you won't have a stitch on there. So try it the other way. So anyway, that's 3 now. And then 4, I'll just do a few. Believe me, when you're starting out, you don't want to do too many because it takes a while for you to do each stitch. So that's 5. I think I'll start with 5. Sometimes you start with 10. You know, I've taught a lot of people to knit. I can say I can teach anybody to knit, especially when I'm one-on-one with somebody. But let's do it virtually one-on-one. So now, like this kind of helps with the 2 different colors. This is a size 10 on the bottom. You can see the size of the needle there. And these are size 10s that I'm starting with. That's a nice size to start with. You don't want them too skinny. And the yarn should be like a nice 4-ply yarn. They have all fuzzy yarns, all kind of yarns now. But for beginners, it's better to start with this so you can see it. And so now, see if you can see. I'm going to go in here. And now I'm going to put that. Now I'm going to grab both of them in this hand. Oops, in my left hand. Then with the right hand, I'm going to go yarn over that one in the back. Then grab that needle again. And now see right in the middle there, that's where the yarn is laying across. Now you go on this side of the yarn. Oh, that's a good picture. Go on this side of the yarn, and you take it off of the left and onto the right. You're just transferring the yarn, and you're adding on. And don't pull. People are always pulling in between. You're just making it too tight. So the size of the needle is what determines it. If you want a skinnier one, then get a skinnier needle. So let me see if you can see it again. See, I kind of push up as I go. So okay, the one on top is the one I'm doing. I'm back here, right where I am. I'm going under here, and see crisscross. You can kind of crisscross it. So see the one that's in the back here? That's where the yarn is going to go around. And see, it's right in the middle there. And so the one on this, you're going to go toward this needle here. So you're going to catch that piece of yarn in the middle. And you're going to go off and on over here from left to right. And see that little piece that was in the middle? That's the new stitch. So you go in, around, and say down. I just kind of use all my fingers. You know, you can do it by touch, basically. Push it down and towards your face and off. In, around, down, and off. One more. In, around, down, and off. That little tail, I kind of pull it a little bit. That's about it at the end. The ends, I know, get kind of wonky, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. On the next row, you'll see. So that's one whole row of stitch. So that's why I say 5 is good. If you had 10 or 20, you got to wait till you do all 20, and then you're going to do it again over and over and over. So let's see the next row. Row 2 is the same way. This is knitting. In, okay, let me see if I can show you. Anyway, in back here. Okay, let me show you back here. This is the back, and that's where I'm going in. Right, the first one on top, right there, under there. That's where I'm going in. There. And then, see, kind of push them up to the top. Don't let them stay at the bottom of your needle. And I catch it like this, like a ring finger, kind of like your ring, like you're wearing a ring of yarn. See, my ring of yarn. You go around that one in the back, go down through the middle, and off to the side. From left to right, I'm transferring the yarn. I know I can knit actually faster, but you know, I'm trying to go slow for you. Slower, a little slower. You'll get faster as you go. I've taught kids, I've taught people that can't even don't even speak English. It doesn't matter. I can teach anybody to knit. At least usually when I say in person, but you know, virtually this is like a first. So we're going to go in the back here, do the same thing every time. See the crisscross? The one in back here is the one I'm going to the yarn over, not both needles, just one needle. And then the tricky part is when you go down. See that one in the middle where the yarn has gone through the middle right there? And then you go through to the other side of that piece and off. And one more right here, crisscross. You hold them both with one hand, get it back with the right hand, and off. There you go. Another 2 rows knitted. I always like to look at my needles, like sometimes, I mean, my stitches. Sometimes they get twisted a little. You can see them. See, aren't they cute? That's 5, and I always say make sure you count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You still have 5. Now this one you kind of pull it down because some people get it mixed up when it's all kind of twisted. It looks like 2. Well, it looks like 2 or something, but you make sure you push it down so you see it's 5. And keep counting your stitches, because sometimes people start with 5, then you end up with 6, then 7, then 8, especially if you don't take it off of the needle. Transfer it from one to the other. If you leave it still hanging on there, that's an increase, so you end up with 6. So go in, around, down, and off. Like, see that part, off. If you go in, around, down, and you don't take it off, you'll end up increasing. So off. It's not done until you transfer it to the other side. So I hope you understand it. And while we're doing this, so maybe, I hate to confuse you, but you can do a whole scarf like this, a headband. You just keep going and make it as long as you want. See, that's like about, that's called the garter stitch, when it's all knit, 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 every single row. And purl, you've probably heard of knitting and purling. Purl is like a reverse knit. It's the opposite of knitting. So, see, in knitting, the yarn was in the back here. But when you're purling, the yarn is in front, right towards you, towards your face. So then I'm going to purl. This is going to be a purl. So then these towards you. So you got to come in this way. Okay, let me move my finger. Come in this way on the stitch. Normally you're coming under here. This way you're coming over the top of that same stitch. And then I still put my little ring finger thing going on here. And I go around the one in the front now, toward me. And then back toward, away from your face, and then off. I know, a little tricky. So we get used to the other one first before you attempt this. But see, you're going to go toward, in the back, see, right off the top. around this one in the front now, not that one in the back that we crisscrossed. And then you're going to go push it away from your face. You're going to go in, around, and then away. And make sure you get it off to the other side. As you're always transferring, you're adding on yarn. That little going around is where you're adding yarn. Around. Okay, so when you're going around, you're going to catch that yarn that you just added, keep it on your new right hand, and you're going to take the other one from the left off. It's great. That's purling. And it's going to be a little different. I probably can't tell. But that's when it's a purl, a knit one row, purl one row. It's called a stockinette stitch. It's really smooth looking. So that was knit one row, purl one row. So then you can go back to knit one row again for the stockinette stitch. And that stitch is used a lot. So that's knitting and purling. Those two stitches, you can do a lot with those two stitches. Especially knitting. You make a scarf, you can make it like 20 stitches to make a nice scarf with just knit, straight knit. If you knit and purl, you have to be careful it curls up. So you go back to knitting, the yarn is in the back. Back in the back. If you do a stockinette, knit and purl, knit one row, purl one row, it curls up. So it's best to just stick with knit, especially at the beginning. So I knit it again, so it gets smoother in the front. It's really nice. You can alternate between the stockinette stitch and then a garter stitch, but it's best to stick with knit, just knit. And you can do bigger needles. They have size 19 needles, size 17 needles. It goes faster when you have bigger needles. It makes a bigger loop, but you don't take so much time knitting, because knitting takes time no matter what you do. Sorry, it just does. You knit one stitch at a time. So I think that's it for this lesson. Let's see. That's it's a knitting and purling, and you can do knit one stitch. Okay, let's try that. Knit one, purl one, because in if you do, it's called ribbing then. You can actually do a scarf in all knit one, purl one. It won't curl up like the knit one row does. This is knit one stitch. So the first stitch, I know it's going to be confusing, but anyway, I can show you all in one lesson. That way you don't have to have a whole bunch of lessons. Okay, because I used to teach at a store one time, and they wanted me to do hour lessons. In an hour, I can show you everything you need to know, so you don't even need to come back for the next lesson. But anyway, I was supposed to be selling lessons anyway. That was I tried it for about a year or so. Anyway, because I teach it for free so many other places. Anyway, right here, you're going to go in the back again, keep the yarn in front for the knit stitch. But now if you want to do knit one stitch and purl the next stitch, you got to put the yarn in the back. And then go, remember, over the top toward the back. There you go. And the one that's back here is the one you're going to put the yarn over. And then push it that way. And so then you're going to knit the next one. So guess what? You got to move the yarn back to the back again. And then you're going to go under, off the frame there, under, and then around that one in the back there, and then knit. Now you're going to purl the next one. Knit the next one, you got to put the yarn, purl the next one, you're going to put the yarn in front towards you. And then you're going to go up here and around and back away from you. And then you're going to knit the last one. So you're going to put the yarn in the back. Then go under, around, and towards you that time. So that's almost everything. Knit, purl, and then ribbing. Knit. So you can knit all the rows. You can knit one row, purl one row, knit one row, purl one row. Or you can do knit one stitch, purl one stitch, knit one stitch, purl one stitch, knit one stitch, purl one stitch. And then when you do that, if you want to do the ribbing, you're going to have to continue to purl when you get to the other side here. You got to, where the pearls are, the pearls have a little bump on them. So you're going to have to keep purling that one, and then the other one you're going to have to knit, and then the other one with a little bump in the front there is where the purl is. So you got to keep doing your purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. So, and then there's another one, seed stitch, where you actually knit the pearls and purl the knits. Anyway, that's another. But ribbing is one of the other ways you can do a whole scarf, where you just purl, knit one stitch, purl one stitch, knit one stitch, purl one stitch. Anyway, that's knitting. Knitting 101. or 101 and a half because I did a lot with knitting. But just stick with straight knitting and you can't go wrong. So I hope you enjoy knitting. Bye for now.